The ideal romantic comedy hero or the serious drama actor? The crazy mercenary Deadpool or the king of parties? Who is our today's hero Ryan Reynolds, and is he as simple as he looks? You are on the Biographer channel, and today we will tell you about how Ryan managed to reach the top of fame without having an acting education. We will also find out why taking part in the Green Lantern became a real hell for him, and in which film his manhood was drawn using computer graphics. But before you find out the biography of one of the sexiest actors in Hollywood, hit the subscribe button and the bell to be the first to know the secrets of your favorite celebrities. Subscribe and we'll start. Ryan Rodney Reynolds was born on October 23, 1976 in Vancouver, Canada. Ryan's parents had nothing to do with acting. Father James Chester was a retired police officer and food wholesaler. The past profession left a huge imprint on the serious and strict James, and the children were afraid of him. Mother Tammy worked as a seller. Ryan became the youngest in his family, where in addition to him, there were 3 more children: Terry, Jeff, and Patrick. Now, the actor speaks of his parents with warmth and wisdom of a man raising 2 children. Now, I'm just amazed at how my parents coped with 4 boys, how much wisdom and patience they needed. Of course, they were not perfect, but if I grew up in an ideal family, then most likely I did not develop such a sense of humor, and this is an excellent protection against all the troubles in life. But then, he was having a hard time. Fortunately, Reynolds brothers always stood up for each other and shared everything equally, both happy moments and fatherly cuffs. To cope with the realities of life, our hero was always helped by a precocious sense of humor. He readily laughed at himself and others, leaving himself no opportunity to get upset, and others to offend him. I was growing up as a very serious, sensitive child, strained like a barbed wire. And with my skin, I felt the mood, the experiences of other people. Maybe this helped me master the acting profession. In 1982, Ryan entered Kitsilano High School. He studied well, but his acting skills, charisma, and charm gave him the future favorite of the public. The first test of himself as an actor, a small role in a school play in the 3rd grade. Even then, it became clear to Ryan that he really liked to play on stage. But the father was not happy. In order for him to change his anger to mercy, Reynolds began to actively engage in sports. Choosing baseball and football, he quickly became the most valuable player. Every match, he literally snatched victory from the hands of a competitor. It wasn't the ambitions of the boy, but a simple and such a sincere desire to get the approval of his dad. Reynolds Sr. was delighted and went to every game regardless of the weather. When Ryan played, James had to be in the stands and support his offspring. Later in an interview, Reynolds said that he ruined his health by running after the ball across the field with a concussion and cracked bones just as not to disappoint his dad. He fought with the last bit of strength, and rather for approval than for victory. At the age of 13, he persuaded his parents to take him to a casting in the Canadian teen soap opera Hillside. In the USA, it was called 15. Ryan got the role of Billy Simpson, one of the main participants in the daily life of Hillside School. The series, broadcast on American cable television, lasted 2 years. For a beginner, our hero did quite well and in one episode received as much as $150, while feeling at the same time terribly rich. In memory of the series, the young actor has the Best Young Actor on Cable TV award and the experience of survival on the set.
Hey kid, I like your taste in clothes.
It was then that Ryan finally decided on the profession. Before leaving school, Ryan managed to take part in the series Odyssey and in the feature film Ordinary Magic, where 17-year-old Ryan played an Indian boy named Ganesh, who moved to Canada after his father's death. Alas, after this, his filmography was not replenished for a long time. And thank God that it happened. Otherwise, I would have ended up like all these child actors, a drug addict. In 1994, the future actor graduated from high school and entered Kwantlen Polytechnic University. Since his family had no money to pay for his son's education, Ryan worked. He worked as a salesman in a grocery store and as a bartender on yachts and in nightclubs. But creativity was not forgotten. With several friends, he organized a comedy group of improvisation under the ambiguous name Yellow Snow. I just fell in love with everything related to theater. It turned out that I can reveal myself in something that I had never even thought about before. At some point, the young man broke down and left high school to go towards his dream and move to Los Angeles. The first weeks at the Dream Factory, according to the actor, were just awful. The day after his arrival, his old Jeep was hijacked, and Ryan had to sort out the intricate system of public transportation in the system. Ryan's self-esteem was crippled by failures. Everything said, the second Tom Hanks won't come out of me. And yet, over time, small roles began to come to him. In 1993, this was a cameo role in the cult X-Files. After that, our hero was noticed and called in the full-length film My Name is Kate. The plot tells about the life of an alcoholic who is struggling to cope with her illness and make her family happy and united again. Kevin is her caring and understanding teenage son. And with this role, Ryan managed to cope flawlessly. The producers now and then paid attention to the handsome, smiling boy. It was impossible not to notice his bright appearance and open Hollywood smile, and therefore the roles followed one after another. 1995 was also generous to the young actor. He received 2 offers at once. Griffin on Lonesome Dove, Ryan played his short episode perfectly. However, the series about life in the Wild West lasted only 1 season and then ceased to exist. Reynolds was not particularly upset. He didn't have time. He was already expected on the set of the film Serving in Silence, where partners of the talented newcomer on the set were supposed to be Glenn Close and Judy Davis. Although Ryan got a rather inconspicuous role, he could be proud of participating in this film. The movie was nominated for a number of awards, including a Golden Globe and an Emmy. The actor's next creative year was filled with mysticism and death. Don't be alarmed, it just sounds scary. But in fact, Ryan again agreed to a role in the series, and not in a simple one, but in the legendary Sabrina the Teenage Witch. He would play the most handsome guy in the school, whom the witch Sabrina, played by Melissa Joan Hart, was trying to fall in love with herself. Reynolds fit perfectly into this story, thanks to a spectacular appearance of the classic handsome man, at whom all the girls threw themselves. From magic to murder, and there were 2 of them. First, in Cold Blood, directed by Jonathan Kaplan. A small role in a serious drama helped Ryan break out of the role of a handsome boy from a family film for a short while. Then, When Friendship Kills, a drama starring Linda Carter directed by James A. Contner, who wished to raise the topic of bulimia in his film. The topic is serious and controversial. Ben Coulson is again the same handsome man with whom the main character is in love. Needless to say, Ryan was perfect for this role.
Really look different. I wasn't even sure it was you.
And again, the series, The Outer Limits. The story of travels to other worlds, by the way, was very fond of the audience and lasted on the screens for as many as 7 years. Without Ryan, of course, but he also managed to be noted in it. He played Paul. It is worth noting that up to the real popularity that fell on the actor in the 2000s, all his roles were similar to one another. Episodes in Handsome Teenage Boys, Conquerors of Girls' Hearts, and again inconspicuous episodes, and mostly serials. Reynolds has always been pretty and undoubtedly talented, but thousands of guys, the same, more talented and even prettier, knocked down the doorsteps of film studios, participated in castings, trying to catch the eye of an eminent director who would shoot them in his masterpiece and help wake up famous. Ryan rushed from role to role, trying to get rid of the type that clung to him with all his might. However, he was again and again invited to all the same roles of handsome men with a wide, white-toothed smile. But there was something that set him apart from the crowd. Even during the filming of the series Sabrina, Ryan established himself as an excellent comedian with a good sense of humor, and invitations to comedy roles were not long in coming. 1997. Ryan played Howard in the comedy Life During Wartime, directed by Ivan Dunsky. Our hero is surrounded by real stars, David Arquette, Stanley Tucci, Kate Capshaw. He has never had to learn from such real stars, and he took everything he could from the situation. The young actor had a real comedic role in which he could finally show his talent as a humorist in all its glory. The film turned out to be witty, but neither critics nor spectators were particularly delighted with it. The following year, Reynolds appeared in an episode of the adventure film Tourist Trap. And then he accepted an invitation to star in the American television series Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place, where he played Michael Bergen, a medical student. The story of the three flatmates living in a big city received fairly high marks despite the obvious borrowing of the idea from Friends. Berg is especially remembered by the audience for his spontaneity, courage, bordering on idiocy, and devotion to his favorite business, medicine.
Since when do you have asthma?
I don't. So Melissa's not the one, huh?
While filming the series, Ryan managed to star in several more films. In Andrew Fleming's film Dick, he was Chip, a friend of two eccentric girls who decided to befriend President Nixon and was plunged into a very dangerous story. In Colette Burson's funny melodrama Coming Soon, he played Henry Lipschitz, a strange guy who became a rock star and revealed to the main character the secret of high-quality intimate relationships: love. All in the same 1999, the multi-part cartoon Family Guy was released, in the voiceover of which Ryan also managed to take part. The series about an atypical American family who find themselves in very strange situations is still alive, and our hero can be proud of being at its origins. The 2000s began productively for the actor. Mitch Marcus and John Blush were in the process of filming their zombie comedy Big Monster on Campus, and they needed an actor to play the undead Carl Skitter. Ryan was just the right fit. Immediately after, a small role in the film We All Fall Down by Martin Cummins, a biographical story of a drug-addicted actor trying to find himself in life after the death of his mother. And Reynolds ended the year 2000 according to Classics, a romantic comedy of which there will be more and more in his repertoire every year. Jerry O'Connell, Bridget Wilson, and Alyssa Milano appeared with Ryan in the cast of the film Buying a Cow. It was about how difficult it can be to part with a bachelor life. In 2001, director Jeff Probst managed to discern in a pretty, smiling guy a suitable candidate for the role of one of the heroes of his thriller, Finder's Fee. The action of this dark film unfolds over the course of one evening in a small New York apartment. The plot keeps in suspense until the very end. And in such an environment, it is difficult to see Ryan, who yesterday played in another romantic comedy about love and other amenities. However, he coped with his task with dignity and looked quite harmonious on the screen. The film was not released in all countries, but the rating and reviews from the critics were impressive. But National Lampoon's Van Wilder by Walt Becker is worth your special attention, and all because it was the very main role that allowed Ryan to wake up famous. His Van Wilder is a life maker who has completely forgotten that college is not only fun parties, but in fact, study. A master of good mood, the organizer of the most crazy parties. One day, he is left without the guardianship of his father, and now he needs to forget about young freshmen and enter into adulthood.
He used to write for the school paper. He kept babbling about the difference between light and dark beer.
The Party King is a teenage comedy classic, the brother of American Pie, filled to the brim with ambiguous and downright vulgar jokes. Ryan felt like a duck to water in all this fun, and the viewer believed in this sincerity. For many viewers, this role of Ryan is still one of the most beloved. What about you? What are your favorite films with this actor? Be sure to write about it in the comments. One could not even think about any critic's delight, but the picture received very good ratings and is still considered one of the best American youth comedies. No wonder the most important beauty of the college is played by Tara Reid, one of the main objects of adoration of teenagers in the 2000s. After Van Wilder, our hero received even more offers. He still appeared in episodes, but then it was an episode of the famous comedy series about hospital life, Scrubs, where the actor played Spence, a former classmate of the main characters in several episodes.
Man, that was a long time ago. I mean, now you two are engaged, and I'm in town because our frat brothers Schmitty and Dan are getting married.
A double wedding?
No.
Getting the lead role for Ryan was then not difficult at all. Taking, for example, School of Life by William Deere. This is a film about the struggle of two opposing teachers for the title Teacher of the Year. Ryan, of course, played our man, Mr. D. He was beautiful, smart, cheerful, and progressive. Isn't that the Teacher of the Year? Or the same Foolproof by William Phillips, where Ryan again played the title character, Kevin, a master of technical methods of protection against robbery, imitating robbery in order to earn extra money. By the way, in this film, Reynolds managed to play with the legendary David Siquette.
I spoke to a detective this morning.
Yeah, but you lied to him, didn't you?
And, of course, it was not without episodic roles. The actor enjoyed playing a nurse in Harold and Kumar Going Away, and another small role of Mark Tobias in the comedy action movie The In-Laws by Andrew Fleming. Around the same time, Ryan decided to take up not only his career, but also his personal life. He started dating a famous singer, Alanis Morissette. In 2004, the couple announced their engagement and everything seemed to be going very well. But in 2007, celebrities came to the conclusion that apart they were much better than together. Alanis took out the main plus from this parting. Suffering for her beloved helped her to create several very good songs. Ryan had no time to suffer. In 2003, Ryan received the Young Hollywood Actors Award for Most Promising Young Actor. They noticed him. The correct choice of role and niche finally gave the actor why he came to the world of cinema: the attention and love of the audience. As for critics, it should be understood that a romantic teenage comedy rarely arouses mad delight among connoisseurs of cinema, and no matter what film with the participation of our hero we want to consider, everyone will have rather restrained reviews. Ryan rarely received awards, and the niche he had chosen did not imply an Oscar nomination for all the actors. However, the youth of Reynolds noticed, loved, and just in the same 2003 was awarded the MTV Prize in the Breakthrough of the Year nomination for Van Wilder, The Vampire Superhero Saga. To participate in the film, Ryan had to gain about 10 kilograms.
Fuck me.
In 2005, Ryan decided to try his hand at a new genre, horror. He played George in Andrew Douglas's The Amityville Horror, a story about a family moving into a new home and discovering that in addition to them, something terrible and inexplicable lives. Critics were not particularly impressed by Reynolds, but his co-star Rachel Nichols was awarded an MTV award. In Just Friends by Roger Kumble, he again got the lead role as music producer Chris Brander, who was trying to win the favor of his youthful friend played by Amy Smart. In Waiting, he was Monty, who knew how to get revenge on a guest who didn't tip. Then again, the stage of serious roles, the mystical thriller Nines by John August and Smoking Aces by Joe Carnahan. The ratings of the films were getting higher. The directors saw in Ryan something more than just the hero of an endless number of comedy melodramas. No, melodramas continued to be on Reynolds' list of roles. There were Chaos Theory, Definitely Maybe, Adventureland, Paperman, and The Proposal.
What am I allergic to?
Pine nuts and the full spectrum of human emotion.
Oh, that's funny.
Each of Ryan's romantic comedies is a classic of the genre, an exemplary story about what a one-night movie should be like. Are these films bad? Not at all. And Ryan in each of them looks like the ideal protagonist who got into a funny love story. But the more monotonous and similar the films were in Ryan's track record, the clearer it was to him that he wanted something different, more cheeky, maybe even authors. In 2008, the actor suddenly married a colleague, the beauty Scarlett Johansson. Together, they did not live long, only 2 years, and then divorced. Journalists and family sources cited Scarlett's brilliant career and Ryan's dubious creative development as the reason. The press concluded that Reynolds was jealous of a more successful wife and could not stand the competition. It's hard to say how it really was, but we know for sure that Reynolds' career continued to develop more and more actively, no matter what. In the drama Burried, directed by Rodrigo Cortés, Ryan finally managed to reveal his dramatic talent and proved that he can not only amuse, but also lead the viewer into a state of deep shock and even despair. Paul Conroy, the hero of Reynolds, goes to Iraq to fight under a contract. He wants to make money for his family, but something is not going according to plan. Paul loses consciousness and, waking up, finds himself in a boarded-up coffin underground. Then, you will find an hour and a half of the same scenery and the main character, who only has a lighter and a mobile phone at his disposal. And that's all that will help him get out. Or won't it help? The film drew a very mixed reaction from critics. On the one hand, the picture was called a masterpiece, equal to which nothing had yet been made and was unlikely to be shot. On the other hand, the lack of dynamics and the clear presence of nascent claustrophobia alienated the faint of heart and action lovers. From some moments of the film, it became not just creepy, but actually bad. So brightly and sincerely Ryan played his character. Rodrigo Cortez said that the actor had a hard time, and Ryan returned to Los Angeles with his back scratched in blood and his fingers burned from a red-hot lighter. However, he never complained about anything, not even about sand. We poured tons of sand on him, and it was not just sand that scratched and peeled off the skin. No, it was sand mixed with dust. Ryan breathed the dust. It clogged his eyes. It was very, very difficult for him because this is a very, very difficult role. But the actor coped with this role brilliantly and even received several awards: the MTV Channel, the Goya Award, and the Saturn Award. To tell the truth, the case was not limited to the awards. Ryan received insomnia and post-traumatic stress disorder as a bonus. He got used to the role and fully devoted himself to the filming process. Every night, I couldn't fall asleep. I returned home with the feeling that I was suffering from some strange form of PTSD, if of course this applies to filming. In short, I could not get myself together. It was really difficult. After Barcelona, I still could not come to my senses for some time. Ryan still diluted such serious and energy-consuming roles with something easier and simpler, still remembering his role as a funny guy from romantic and hooligan comedies. Again, each film got its own dose of audience love and low-key critics' indifference. For example, The Change-Up from 2011 about how a bachelor and a family man change places. And again, the serious dark action movie Safe House about a young CIA agent, Mark Weston, seeking justice for his former partner. This project, in which Ryan was lucky enough to play with Denzel Washington, is considered a kind of milestone in the career of an actor who is predicted to become the second Adam Sandler, the most popular comedian. Then came the thriller The Captive, about a father who doesn't want to believe that his daughter is no more, is looking for evidence to the contrary, and suddenly finds them. In the fantasy Rest in Peace Department of 2013, he played the role of a police officer who was killed by a criminal who ended up in the afterlife and found that even after death there was a job for him. And in 2014, Ryan returned to the horror genre. In the thriller The Voices, he played a psychopath named Jerry Hickfang talking to his pets. Although the film was announced as a comedic one, the laughter turned out to be somehow nervous. That was probably why the rating was rather average and the attitude of the viewers was cool. And everything would have gone like a knockoff. Funny serious, if they, the heroes of the comics, had not entered Ryan Reynolds' career. Ryan loves comics. He read them in childhood, envied superpowers of superheroes, dreamed of becoming the same when growing up. His dream came true because he became one of them, Deadpool, his favorite comic book hero. It was about the adventures of the crazy mercenary Wade Wilson that he most of all liked to read when he was a child and then a teenager. Everyone who knows the actor closely assures that he and Deadpool are twin brothers. Ryan tried to make a Deadpool movie back in 2003, developed by New Line Cinema and directed by David S. Goyer. But due to lack of rights to other characters, the project was cancelled and the rights to Deadpool were sold to 20th Century Fox. After 8 years, he still got the role of Deadpool, though it was a cameo in X-Men Origins Wolverine. In this film, the chatterbox and swearing Deadpool is shown to the audience rather superficially.
Great. Stuck in an elevator with 5 guys on a high-protein diet.
Oh, word.
Dreams really do come true.
So just shut it.
No, he is certainly cool and looks worthy against the background of Wolverine performed by Hugh Jackman. But thanks to the scriptwriters, by the end of the film, Wilson was deprived of his main need, to joke and talk incessantly. His mouth was actually sewn up, and the mercenary conducted the entire grandiose fight with Wolverine and Sabretooth in silence, which itself is absurd. The fans of the auditorium were clearly shocked by this fact. Ryan wanted more for his beloved hero, a separate film. He wanted a character disclosure, cruelty, and an R rating. He dreamed of rehabilitating the mercenary in front of comic book lovers and making a really cool, funny film about him in his own style. He did it, but much later. In the meantime, the 2011 Green Lantern. Ryan agreed to temporarily switch from Marvel to DC because he sincerely believed that Lantern can make a great superhero movie, a kind of Star Wars from the world of comics. His Hal Jordan is a witty test pilot who, by the will of fate, found himself drawn into the classic for this kind of cinema, the salvation of the world. The actor was in a fighting mood and kept repeating that Green Lantern was not just another superhero film. As a result, Green Lantern became one of the most high-profile failures in the history of superhero cinema. Neither audience nor critics nor the creators themselves liked it. When Ryan was later asked how it happened, why he did not immediately understand the film was a failure, he replied, "With Green Lantern, I don't think anyone ever figured out exactly what it was. That isn't to say that hundreds of men and women didn't work their fingers to the bone to make it as good as possible. It also fell victim to the process in Hollywood, which is, like poster first, release date second, script last." Perhaps the biggest reason for the failure is the hell production that the film fell into. Green Lantern became a typical example of a project that suffers from excessive studio interference in all processes. Chaos ensued on the set when the big shots, who were not very good at the material and were solely interested in making a profit, started lobbying for their interests. And first of all, the plot of the film suffered. The situation was aggravated by the fact that Campbell's first and only choice for the lead role was Bradley Cooper. But the studio insisted that Reynolds should play the main character, which led to endless conflicts between director and actor. Reynolds went through hell on set. In addition to quarrels with Campbell, he was also injured. Then, there were creative disagreements, large-scale reshoots, and bad special effects, which, due to a busy schedule, were completed in a hurry. According to some reports, at the last minute the studio took the material from the director and finished editing without him. As a result, there were negative reviews from offended fans and disappointing box office receipts. Compounded by the fact that 2 months earlier Marvel released Thor, which not only pulled the blanket over itself, but also forced fans to compare one film with another. And this comparison was not good for Lantern, because in Thor, everything was better, from the storyline to the main villain. After release, the director admitted that he saw his fault in this failure. The superhero theme was not close to him, and he regretted that he took it up at all. In other words, the idea was good, but no one wanted to bring it to mind. Reynolds treated the failure with humor, and for a very long time, at every opportunity, will joke about this terrible experience in DC. Nevertheless, there was something good in Green Lantern, and it was Blake Lively. According to the plot, the heroes of Ryan and Blake were romantically involved, but in life, everything was different. Blake dated Leonardo DiCaprio, and Ryan performed the duty of an exemplary husband. But soon after the premiere of the superhero blockbuster, everything changed. Pictures of the newly made couple appeared in the press, although the actors denied the fact of any relationship, with exception of friendship. On September 9, 2012, the lovers secretly got married. In December of 2014, their daughter James was born. Then in 2016, their daughter Ines, and in 2019, their third girl, Betty. The parents shared childcare responsibilities equally. Father was sitting with daughters while mother was busy filming, and vice versa. The secret of Reynolds' family happiness is simple. You need to be able to be friends, not to part for a long time, and do not forget to make fun of each other. The actors' ironic posts on Twitter instantly turn into aphorisms, translated into different languages and quoted by fans. All this time, the actor did not give up the dream of filming a comic strip about Deadpool. He wrote letters to the management of the Fox company trying to beg for funds for the film adaptation of a full-length film about the crazy mercenary, but they did not give up right away. Yes, they were interested in a spin-off, but they were not yet ready to bring it to life. Reynolds was no longer their favorite after the failure of Lantern, and the script that they brought to the negotiations had nothing to do with the usual PG-13 rating for the company, which meant there was a risk of serious financial losses. But by 2016, thanks to Reynolds' persistence and huge support from the internet community, they finally agreed. Ryan took an active part in writing the script, although this is not indicated in the credits. It was his dream come true, and the actor did his best for this film. He even overdid it in the gym preparing for the role. Because of this, the costume designers had to remove the special lining from the Deadpool suit, which made the hero pumped up. It's interesting that Deadpool's suit had a specific texture. Dirt very quickly got into it, while visually the suit remained clean. As soon as the actor in a suit went out into the sun, the fabric became bright red. When the light was dim, it turned blue. The graphic artists spent many hours emphasizing this effect in the frame. Reynolds had to spend most of the time in a mask that completely covered his entire face. However, Deadpool needed facial expressions. And again, the pros got down to business. Even in a mask, a characteristic facial expression appeared in the hero. Graphic artists generally had a hard time creating Deadpool. For example, they were in all seriousness asked to draw a penis between the legs of the character. Ryan was wearing makeup because he was already covered in scars, and at one point he rips off the burned clothes, which we replaced with a simulation of the fabric. And since according to the plot, he is naked, he must have… Believe it or not, the concept art was drawn, which was approved by the director, producers, and the leading actor. The artists worked on Deadpool's farm as they would on any other graphic project, with all seriousness. Deadpool became the first R-rated X-Men movie. Behind the funny, bloody, spectacular, and at times, frankly, trashy story, there were so many professionals who knew their work inside and out that the film simply could not turn out to be a bad one. Viewers and critics take the picture just fine. After the boring Green Lantern, Reynolds is fully rehabilitated in the comic book community. The film was paid close attention to by MTV and is presented with awards for Best Fighting and Best Comedic Performance. Unfortunately, it was not possible to win the Golden Globe, but the actor was not particularly upset. Happiness was not in the awards. He was much closer to the approval and support of Deadpool fans. In the same 2016, Ryan Reynolds received a personalized star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. This became a bold exclamation point in his acting career. He was finally recognized and truly loved. And it is especially symbolic that his beloved comic book hero brought him real fame, who is so similar to himself and does not at all look like those handsome men from romantic comedies in which Ryan had to play. The audience loves him for who he is, and Reynolds is very happy.
Can you see it? Do you see that beautiful bright light? There it is.
After the success of Deadpool, 2 films with Ryan were released in 2017. The first is the comedy action movie The Hitman's Bodyguard, where our hero played Michael, a super professional bodyguard assigned to the coolest hitman, whom almost every second person dreams of killing. The duet of Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson is very memorable. And the second, the fantastic thriller Life, about how life on Mars does not have to be positive about the astronauts who invaded its planet. In Life, Ryan starred opposite Jake Gyllenhaal and Rebecca Ferguson. The immense popularity of Wade Wilson's story prompted Fox to jump straight into creating a sequel. The film was released in 2018 and became the highest-grossing R-rated film of all time until Joker surpassed it in 2019. Reynolds stated that Deadpool will be his last comic-related role for him. But he, of course, did not stop with what he had achieved, but continued to act. In 2019, the actor took part in the filming of Michael Bay's thriller 6 Underground, which received extremely positive reviews from critics. He played one of the wealthy of this world who decided to stage their death and devote themselves to the fight against crime. An excellent cast: Dave Franco, Melanie Laurent, Manuel Rolfo, Ben Hardy, and a non-trivial plot gathered a very good box office in cinemas. In the same year, he gave his voice to Pokemon Pikachu in the science fiction film Pokemon Detective Pikachu. By the way, Ryan often takes part in the voice acting of the characters. We've already talked about Family Guy. Many years later, in 2013, the actor voiced characters in the animated films Turbo and The Croods. In 2021, the actor pleased his fans with 3 films at once. No experiments. In each picture, the actor is true to himself and to his many changing roles. The comedy action movie The Hitman Wife's Bodyguard is a continuation of the already known story of professional bodyguard Michael Bryce, who, instead of relaxing on the coast, found himself on another adventure thanks to an old client. The fantastic comedy Free Guy is the story of a virtual reality hero who suddenly turned from a useless fashion into the main character who determined the fate of the entire digital world. And finally, the action movie Red Notice, which is worth watching if only because of the increased concentration of beautiful people on the screen. Ryan was accompanied by Gal Gadot and Dwayne Johnson.
Arrest me.
I just want the egg cream sometimes.
And finally, some interesting facts from the life of Ryan Reynolds. Ryan is afraid of heights. In 2010, People magazine named Reynolds the sexiest man on the planet. Reynolds has dual citizenship of Canada and the United States. He is the owner of the professional football club Wrexham. The plush unicorn and costume from the movie Deadpool are kept at the actor's house. Once, being at home in Vancouver, he decided that he wanted to bring Blake a couple of Canadian apple pies. Customs quickly uncovered the smuggling and forced Ryan to perform a song from the movie Just Friends as a fine, falsetto. Ryan Reynolds continues to work as hard as if he was 17 years old, and he only dreams of conquering Hollywood. The actor gave us one of the best superhero films of the 20th century, for which comic book fans will always be grateful to him. On About Movies, we share a universal love for superheroes. If you click on this video on your screen, you will find out why superheroes have not ceased to be popular for 80 years, and also why for a long time it was impossible to make high-quality filmmaking of comics. Follow the link and watch. And that's all. We hope you enjoyed this video and will like it. See you very soon. Bye-bye.